you may move chairs or kneel.
Hello and welcome to round one here at Grand Prix Indianapolis. Team Limited Maria Bartholdi in the booth alongside Pro Tour champion Jacob Van Lunen and of course Rich Hagen joining us as well. We are going to start with not exactly the names you see on your screen. We are in fact going to start with Nass-Pardee, Josh Utterlayton and Matt Nass versus a team of Mansfield, Bursevich and Friedman. All right, so let's kick things off here with a gleaming barrier. JVL, how do you like this card?
So in sealed, it seems fine. Again, if you want to be a slower deck, just playing an 0-4 in this format is pretty decent because your opponent likely is going to be playing just 2 drops.
And there you see it, Martyr of Dusk.
And it's going to blank at least one of them, and at some point they're going to have to either get the wall off the board or just, go around it. It's always going to block something.
There we have the proper names for you up on the screen, and of course we have started on Seth Manfield's match versus Josh Utterlayton. What a great matchup here as well. And yeah, it looks like Seth Manfield is prioritizing getting that gleaming barrier right out of the way. Reaver Ambush is going to deal with that card, and in comes Martyr of Dust for 2 points, knocking Josh Utterlayton down to 18. Respect the wall.
Yeah, I mean, when your opponent is struggling on mana, it's important that you apply very strong pressure in that time.
So it looks like Seth Manfield might be on a deck like Vampires, for instance, and killing off just an 0-4 blocker or whatever is important to be able to get through your damage. Reaver Ambush of his own from Josh Utterlayton will take care of that Martyr of Dusk. Exile target creature with power 3 or less.
Interesting note, the exile part of Reaver Ambush was important on both sides there.
Absolutely.
It prevented Josh from getting treasure, and it prevented Seth from getting his vampire token.
All right, here we see one of the premium cards in Vampires. Just absolutely premium. Bishop Soldier hits the table for Seth Manfield alongside that Dusk Legion Zealot, which drew Seth a card earlier this turn. So putting together quite a nice little Vampires list, but it might be a mirror match here if Josh Utterlayton is also on Vampires. Right now it looks like he's on mono removal, essentially there. Yeah. Moment of Craving, taking care of that Bishop Soldier. This card has been just absolutely great for me. How about you, JVL?
The card has been incredible. It's great at winning races. It's almost always killing something that costs the same amount of mana that it costs. A lot of the time, you're playing things and then attacking with the rest of your guys, and the thing you play, it dies to Moment of Craving, plus they gain 2 life, which can trigger things and can just make them win the race. Great card.
Yeah, pretty nice with a Famished Paladin, for instance. All right, another Dusk Legion Zealot enters the battlefield. Draw a card, lose a life. For Seth Manfield, it's got 2 power on the table, but is refilling his hand. How do you like Dusk Legion Zealot?
I think it's really good if you have a decent amount of Vampire Matters cards or a decent number of cards that care about having a large number of permanents in play.
Shout out to Zamo Get Real in the chat room, who says Black-White is where it's at. All the pacifism and removal and life gain is just too good.
Yeah, I agree with that. You get access to just, I think, probably all of the best removal in those colors.
Absolutely, and I think that's something we're going to see a lot of in this sealed format, is when we see these Black-White decks, they're going to have a lot of removal spells. And the reason that is because, you're opening 12 packs. You're going to get to see so many cards, and those removal spells are going to end up in somebody's deck, and if you're the Black-White player, it's likely going to be you.
Dusk Charger hits the table for Josh Utterlayton. Legion's Landing, Seth Manfield played last turn, and here we go. We're going to see this card flip right around to Adanto, the first fort, which is exactly where Seth Manfield wants to be, I can imagine. This card is a house once you're able to flip it.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you're playing a format like Sealed Deck, where, so hold the phone.
Deals with that horse.
Yeah, now Vampire Seal also gives that token first strike because it is a vampire. So just all upside there for Seth.
Wow. Sky Marcher Aspirant is a follow-up play here for Seth. Does he have the City's Blessing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He certainly does. That card has flying.
Ah, the City's Blessing. And I mean, he's just going to be churning out vampire tokens forever. And if his opponent is a deck, Josh's deck, it looks to me like it has a lot of spot removal spells. Just the fact that Seth's going to be able to make a token every turn is going to be really hard for Josh to beat in the long term.
Look at that. There's an island in play for Josh Utterlayton. I wasn't exactly expecting that.
Incidentally, those eagle-eyed viewers, just below that 21, that little symbol, the orange symbol there,
Oh, yes.
that is the city's blessing for Seth Manfield.
Oh, look at that.
There you go.
Oh, very nice.
Thanks to Richard.
So why on earth would Josh Utter-Leyton be splashing blue? I think I have one or two guesses, JPL.
So there are a few cards that you could want that might encourage you to do this. And, I think that the one you're most likely going to see would be maybe like a hostage taker.
Yes, that's
know.
what I was thinking of. Obviously, Seth Manfield in a really commanding position here already in this game, doing what the Vampires deck does best, and this is exactly what I wanted to see here this weekend. Somebody playing a deck kind of at its peak synergistic level, and that's exactly what we're getting out of Seth here, who's just going to make another Vampire at the end of the turn. Moment of Craving is going to deal with that Sky Marcher Aspirant, but Seth has just amassed such a huge team. Josh Utter-Leyton on the back foot this whole game, continually having to deal with Seth's threats.
So I would recommend to settle the wreckage quite soon.
That would be ideal. I agree.
Like that one.
That would be good.
Fortunately, I do not believe that Josh has
He doesn't have another white up.
a Settle the Wreckage. in
Seth's
his deck.
just swinging for the fences here, gaining a bunch of life in the process thanks to those vampire tokens that you see on the table as well.
Yeah, the 24 isn't relevant for Seth. It's the 15 for Josh that's 2 or 3 turns away from the end.
Oh, yeah.
Still 0-0 in both the other matches. We'll be heading across town to either Matt Nass against Ben Friedman or Pardee against Burcevic.
And there it is, Hostage Taker from Josh Utter-Leyton. But how good is that card right now? Seth is going wide, and it's just going to be able to steal a 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, but it's pretty nice because he's not only taking a 1-1 away from Seth and getting one for himself, but he's also drawing a card there by playing that Zealot. So a nice play there for Josh, something he needed to do. Hostage Taker's so powerful.
I mean, in flavor terms, Maria, Hostage Taker is powerful every way, because it doesn't matter whether you've got like 2 kids or 7. If you like have one taken hostage, you're still going to care about the one, even if you've got 6 more.
Yeah, but
Going wide doesn't actually help in real life. You know what I'm saying?
sure, in the real life scenario here, unless you're a legion of vampires and you're really brutal and you're just like, oh, what's one more? I'm embodying Vona here. I don't care. Take one
I guess
of
if you're
my
like
army.
Plankton or something, maybe then it's like, hey, has anyone seen Fred 47,722? Not since Friday. Ah, well.
Rich's impression of Plankton Mom is so far the highlight of my day.
Yeah, I like Rich as Plankton Mom.
Yeah.
So Seth here kind of contemplating what he wants to do next. Remember that he has got that active Adanto, the first fort, in play down by his lands. So a continual way to keep creating more and more creatures to eventually, potentially, outcard Josh Utter-Leyton in this game. And we have got to recover here. He's going to bring the Dust Charger back to Josh Utter-Leyton's hand.
And this is an interesting fight here because Josh was struggling to hit land drops earlier in the game, and Seth was not. And this means that Josh is going to have more action in his hand. Then in the same sense, Seth has this kind of like never-ending engine in the form of Adanto, the first fort. So he has that going for him, whereas Josh has like a ton more gas to unload from his hand.
So Rivals of Ixalan has a card that's white and says your creatures get +1/+1, or with City's Blessing, +2/+2. I wonder whether Seth has that in his deck, because that would be the ultimate wide,
It's a huge
bonus,
payoff.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, Pride of Conquerors.
Yeah.
Is just an absolute beating in a Vampires deck, which is, of course, what it was made for. I'm also curious to know if he has a Radiant Density. I knew I was going to say it! Destiny. I've been calling it that as a joke, and I was just like, Maria, Destiny, you are my destiny.
Is it like Density's child?
Yeah. It's like
Which
Back
is
to the
probably
Future.
Mass or something.
You are my density. Yeah, Radiant Destiny, which is an anthem effect, and if you're a mono-white player in Standard, is something that you love, and that's me, of course. So I love that card.
Okay, I can confirm there's no such card as Radiant Density, because I've just typed it into Gatherer. No.
See, it just happens.
No.
So
Destiny.
looking over the deck list, Seth does have a copy of Pride of the Conqueror.
Oh my God!
Excellent.
Outstanding.
He hasn't
Well
drawn
called.
it yet,
Well, no.
but I mean, it will win the game when he does.
I was going to say, one would think that shortly after drawing it, we will see it in play, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Just a Dusk, a Charger in play for Josh Utter-Leighton versus an army of vampires from Seth Manfield. And, I mean, obviously Seth is at a huge advantage here, but I just had to say that I do like that horse. It's not as bad as it looks.
With it. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled to be playing it in one deck, and then every time I drew it, I was like, oh, nice, a 5/5 or 4 mana.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like,
Has Josh been shouting a lot? He's looking a little hoarse.
how little is that horse right now? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it is still just
It's
little.
just the 3/3. Viewers will be pleased to know that I'm refraining right now from singing what's in my head, which is the theme to Champion the Wonder Horse.
Wow, I
Thank
don't know what
goodness.
that is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either.
Sanguine Glorifier is going to give a vampire a +1/+1 counter, so 3/3. A nice little addition to any vampire's deck.
I basically can't believe how long Josh has managed to make this game go.
Neither can
'Cause
I, honestly.
He's been dead since turn 2, kind of. And just the way it's played out, it's like, yeah, it's 5 creatures against 1. It's 7 creatures against 1. It's 9 creatures against 1. Yeah, still here. Still battling with Pious Interdiction.
All right, let's
Yeah.
gain some life. Josh Utter-Leighton will bump back up to 8 with that Pious Interdiction, locking down that Sanguine Glorifier from Seth Manfield, but up against it in the worst way here.
If you're looking for a game to go pretty long, then Josh Utter-Leighton playing the Gleaming Barrier deck is
your man.
yeah,
He's your boy.
That's what you're looking for.
You know, I kind of expected him to be on Black-White Vampires, but honestly, so far what we've seen is removal, 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 removal.
Yeah, his deck seems to be a pile of removal and some demon horses.
That's a strategy.
Yeah.
All right, well, Seth Manfield has some removal of his very own with Impale there. Deals with anything, pretty much. Swings in with the team.
And Josh now down to just 2, while Seth has this land in play that pumps out a never-ending stream of creatures to go with, his pile of vampires in play already, and that's going to be it.
Yep.
Burning Oblivion, the answer to your question, who's in the booth with Maria and Rich, is Jacob Van Lunen, Pro Tour champion for 2007 in California, San Diego, Two-Headed Giant, along with the Doctor, Chris Lackman. Okay, so that's game 1 over there. We're currently 1-0 up for Ben Friedman. Sam Pardee and Austin Bursavich are already at 1-1. So maybe let's see where we're going to head. We are going to head for Matt Nass against Ben Friedman. All right, what is going on here? Tied at 18 right now. We see Aggressive Urge from Matt Nass, which is going to let him trade up. He's got a Water Knot. Currently on a something Raptor by the looks of things. Maybe.
There's a lot of Raptors in this set,
There are
honestly.
so many Raptors. Yeah.
Vanquisher's Banner here from Ben Friedman, and looks to be playing kind of a red-blue aggressive Pirates deck, which is pretty good. And of course, that banner is naming Pirate as well. We got some blue-green Merfolk action from Matt Nass here. Jade Guardian, one of the favorites from olden times in Ixalan.
The old days.
The old days, but he's got, oh my lord, a Merfolk Mistbinder in play. I stole your joke, Rich.
I couldn't even get the words out in time before you were there. Outrageous.
Ben Friedman currently on 9 life. Matt Nass on 18, so sitting pretty good. Siren Lookout, however, in play for Ben Friedman, currently a little bit larger thanks to Explore.
I do think Explore is such a terrific little mechanic.
Fabulous.
I know it's not like super splashy, but it just feels like that particular knob that is the dial on every card that has it just makes them just a lot more interesting as Magic cards. A 1/2 flyer for 3 is not good. A 2/3 flyer is really good. How about sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't? Really neat. Very good design.
There we see a Mutiny from Ben Friedman, which is going to take down the Mistbinder for Matt Nass. How do you like this card, JVL?
So I think Mutiny is pretty good, but I don't want to play too many of them in my deck.
Is
something that I've
2
noticed.
too many of them?
I think 2 is about the maximum of
Right.
Mutinies you want to be playing. once you start playing more than 2 Mutiny, you find yourself in situations where your opponent has 1 creature in play and you're losing, and you have Mutiny in your hand, and that's not where you want to be. But the first copy is really good here. That was incredible, the fact that he was able to kill that Lord. These new Lords from Rivals of Ixalan are big payoff cards that really reward you for pushing the tribal strategies hard, and super important to have cards that can get those off the table when you're playing this limited format.
So Swaggering Corsair is going to be the follow-up play here from Ben Friedman. And swinging in here.
Yeah, so
the Siren Lookout, which is interesting because Swaggering Corsair does have a raid trigger. But instead we're going to play a Shipwreck Looter and loot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asking why on earth did he do that, well, wanted to get it out of his hand. Play the Looter and loot. Loots away an island. Passes back to Matt Nass, and yeah, Ben Friedman looking like he's about to kind of turn this game in his favor.
And if he does, that'll put the Manfield team in a very strong position. It would be game and match to Friedman, and then 1 game win from either Manfield or Austin Bercevich would be the round to the team of Bercevich, Manfield, and Friedman. A reminder that we have Time Warp Magic coming for you every round. The back table, a complete match, at least as far as we can show you it in the time that's remaining before live action in round 2 comes around. Yeah, some great players there waiting for us. Martin User, Shuhei Nakamura, Corey Burkhart, against 3 level 3 judges, no less, on the back table in round 1.
I love it. Deshauna's Wayfinder is going to go exploring and find another Jade Guardian, put it in the bin there for Matt Nass, giving it a +1/+1 counter, making it a 3/3, which, matches up, frankly, pretty well against Ben Friedman's creatures. But that flyer is something he's got to be worried about.
Yeah, and Vanquisher's Banner kind of has the potential to take a game over by itself. Oh, whoa, hold the phone, folks.
What?
Do you see what's in Ben's hand?
I think it's... Are you looking at the Rekindling Phoenix?
I am looking at the Rekindling Phoenix. And if anybody at home has had the pleasure of playing with this card, you know that it's not remotely beatable.
Nope.
And
the card just doesn't die. I mean, it says on it, it just will never die. It's a Phoenix awakening from the ashes. And by the way, the art on this card is just gorgeous.
And that is a playmat at one of the upcoming GPs.
Oh, I was just going to say, I would hope it would be a playmat.
I believe it is. I can't remember which one. It may be Houston or London. Sometime soon. Rekindling Phoenix is up front and center. I want one. I do want one.
So do I. And there it hits the table. Rekindling Phoenix for Ben Friedman. Matt Nass now, who looked to be in pretty good control of this game, firmly on the back foot against a card like that, plus more power in the air from that Siren Lookout too.
The Rekindling Phoenix is a card I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of in Constructed even in the coming months.
Oh, really?
It's a very, very powerful card.
Something like Waterknot could deal with it from Matt Nass, but that's kind of about it in the colors that he's playing.
Kitesail Corsair up next.
Just another pretty solid little 2/1 flyer for 2 for Ben Friedman.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that card in draft because it's common. You've got 2 packs of it. I imagine there are going to be decks, because it's inherently not superb, I can imagine that there are going to be decks with 5 or 6 of those somewhere in the room tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
Or indeed in London once we get to individual draft. Only draft this weekend, semi-finals and final. And with 6 players, you're going to struggle to get 5 or 6 Kitesail Corsair.
I want to know how highly somebody's going to pick it.
I think it's a pretty high pick.
So do I.
Yeah. I think that's a card that I have first picked already.
Do you... I'm a little surprised at that because my hunch is that that's a card that keeps coming back because only the player who wants it. That it isn't a card that other people at the table are just going to go, yeah, I need a 2/1 in my deck. My blue-green Merfolk deck really needs a 2/1 for 2. I'm not sure.
2 power flyer for 2 mana is just very, very good in this format. The format is very much about racing.
Okay.
And I think having the requisite number of 2-drops is very, very important to having some level of success in this limited environment. And if you can get a 2-mana, 2-power flyer, that's going to be way above the curve, especially because one of the biggest mistakes you can make... Oh, well, yeah. Let's look at this.
Hold that thought, because Ben Friedman has the game, and he has the match. But that's not the round. Although
yes, it is.
I believe it is, because just at that moment, Austin Bercevich claimed the victory over Nass-Pardee, which means that we are underway with a win. And, you know, Ben Friedman, we've seen there. It would be great if we could hear from Ben Friedman. So come back to us while we see if we can get that set up, because we've got something new we're trying this weekend. We've cobbled together lots of tin cans and string, and we've got one of these headsets over in the feature match area. So with a bit of luck, Ben Friedman, who's just beaten Matt Nass, will be able to talk us through both the match and also what their decks are like. So this seems pretty good. JVL, pretty routine, that round one, seems to me.
I mean, we watched two of the best teams in the room playing against each other in that first round. And interestingly enough, Seth Manfield, the #1 ranked player in the world, who's playing with his two friends, trying to get them qualified for the 25th Anniversary Pro Tour, he didn't have to win his match. His two friends know how to win plenty well on their own.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me, too, to see kind of this Merfolk deck versus this Red-Blue Pirates deck. And Merfolk wants to position itself to be highly aggressive. But is it aggressive enough in this format anymore if you're playing against something like Red-Blue or Red-Black or even Red-White?
Yeah, you know, that's something that's really interesting is I don't know if Merfolk is the most aggressive limited strategy anymore. You know, there are these other decks, these pirate decks, that can come at you really fast.
Okay, well, the great news is Ben Friedman is down in the feature match area waiting for us. Ben, it's Rich Hagan here. Congratulations, my friend. Looking very smart. Opening win for the round. Good stuff.
Thanks, Rich. I don't know if I looked super smart, because Seth had to point out that I could bounce my own creature with the Deadeye Rig Hauler.
Rig Hauler, yeah.
Win's a win.
Yeah, so tell us how you end up with this team, because there are thousands of people at home right now who are thinking, I'm vaguely competent at Magic, and I'd like to play with the world #1. How did you manage it?
Yeah, I know, right? It's insane. So I was going to team with Joe Demestrio and Christian Calcano, but Christian didn't want to go to the GP, and then Seth put out the call on Twitter saying, hey, does anyone want to team with me? And I was like, yeah, obviously. So I hit him up.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes!
But listen, you've played on, I was trying to think how many PTs you've played in, and it's like high 20s, low 30s, right?
Yeah, I think this one, it'll pass my age. So I'll be 25 PTs, 24 years old.
Outstanding. All right,
wow.
and you've got the team MGG Sun on the logo there. Tell us a little bit about the team. Who's involved?
So, okay, it's the brainchild of Frank Pendle and Rick Meditz. These are some guys from New York. They're like the business end, and they assembled a crack team magicians. They basically said, well, for the SCG circuit at first, they got together like Jim Davis, Kevin Jones, some other guys, Pete Ingram, the Jessup brothers. Then they picked me up, and then they wanted to get into the PT, so I kind of tried to pull together some disparate elements, and we ended up with a adorable mishmash we have now.
All right, great stuff, Ben. Thanks so much for being here. Best of luck with the rest of the day. We'll speak to you later on. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Ben Friedman there. I understand some of you had trouble hearing Ben. We could hear him. I know some of you could hear him. Well, we'll see what's going on. Maybe it came in through one headphone, and if you were listening through one, you couldn't hear Ben in the other. They should maybe set that up for me so that you could like listen to the stream but not be able to hear me at any point.
We'll just put you in the left channel so anybody could just take it out.
How popular would that be? I should market that.
Or you could listen just to Rich.
No one wants that.
It's called the pun-only channel.
The pun zone?
Yeah.
All right, so that was the main match of round #1. It's a good job we have Time Walk for you, isn't it, really? And that is coming up after these short messages.
Hello and welcome back to the booth for coverage here at GP Indianapolis. Team Limited, Maria Bartholdi, JVL, and Rich Hagan here, and we're about ready for our time walk match, which is a pretty interesting match, so let's head down and take a look.
All right, so here we go. We've got 3 amazing pro players on the right and 3 amazing pro judges on the left. Nicolette Price, Matt Billy Will Williams, and Jess Dunks. So that's the judges on the left, and the pros are on the right. Tell us in chat, who do you want? One word, judges or pros? Just put judges or pros in chat. I'm pretty sure this is going to be heavily weighted 80-20 to the judges.
Well, we're going to kick things off here with a